It's God keeping us and not we ourselves. And every one of us would have given up a long time ago if we had to keep ourselves. It's God keeping us. It's not me, it's not you. It's not the edifice, it's not the building, it's not your job, it's not your spouse, it's not your health, but it's God. God keeping you. Because we know that you might not have no money, but that's not an essential. You might not have no companionship, that's not an essential. You lack no essentials tonight. Because everything that you need to be saved is in the grace of God. You can have all the money in the world, all the companionship in the world, and still be on your way to hell without a recourse. But when you have the grace of God, we're pressing, we're fighting, we're struggling, we're wrestling. But by the grace of God, tonight we are what we are. And Paul says, having therefore obtained help from God. We're not giving up. Having therefore obtained help from God. We're not quitting. We're not giving up. We're not getting discouraged. He said, I continue. Are you still continuing? Writer said, I'm running for my life. How many of us realize we're running for our lives because the devil's stalking us? But we're on course. Paul said, I finished my course. And how did he finish it? With joy. So he says, now it's about joy. You see, the fruits of the Spirit, you've got to have some joy. You're not winning the battle if you don't have some joy. Love, peace, and joy. Finally, he says, verse 5, if any of you lack wisdom, say now, the only way you're going to get through this is that you've got to learn to be resourceful. You got to make it work. And you make it work through the leading of God. He's saying you need wisdom. You have to be resourceful. Wisdom is the best use of knowledge, experience, and understanding to obtain the best results at the best time using the best method. You have to get that from God because there are so many variables concerning our struggles that we aren't aware of. But God will give us the wisdom to get through it. Where to be at the right time and what to say at the right time, you have to get that from God. He said, now if any of you lack that, because wisdom is the principal thing, the essential thing, say get wisdom, but in all that getting understanding. Say if you lack it, ask God. The problem with us too often and too frequently when we have our struggles, we want to talk to someone else first before we talk to God. Next time you're wrestling with the devil, first option, talk to God. We saw in the little talk with Jesus makes everything all right. Thank God in trials of every kind. I found that a little talk with Jesus makes everything all right. Telephone the glory, oh what joy divine. I can feel the current moving on the line built by God the Father for his loving own. You may talk to Jesus on the royal telephone. Songwriter says Jesus on the main line. Tell him what you want. Call him up and tell him what you want. First option, I've got to ask God for wisdom. Not get on the telephone and just talk to somebody, but get some wisdom. Let him ask of God to give it to all men liberally and upbraiding. I said, God said, I won't beat you down for asking me for wisdom. And it shall be given him. Say, now this is important. When you're going through your struggles and your tests and your trials, you still cannot walk by sight. The just shall live by faith. The just shall walk by faith. It still has to be by faith. I don't care what we're going through. If we're down in the valley, it's got to be faith. We're up on top of the mountain, it's got to be faith. Every day it's about faith. But let him ask in faith. If you're asking for wisdom, nothing wavering. Say you can't waver. Say you can't fluctuate. You can't oscillate. You know how a fan oscillates turning back. Say no, you can't do that with God. For he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea. Just visualize this. He's given us a pictorial illustration. Say you see a wave and you see how it goes this way and that way, and you see the white caps. He says he's driven with the wind and tossed. Say another force is driving and controlling them. He said, but let him ask in faith. Verse 7. For let not that man consider and think or entertain, he shall receive anything of the Lord. It's by faith. Without faith it's impossible to please him. If you're fluctuating, oscillating, say let not that man think. If you are double-minded, look at this, I'm going to end. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. It means you have fluky ways. You know what fluky ways are? It means your whole life is dependent on chance. You're living by chance when you have fluky ways. He said he's unstable in all his ways because he's double-minded. God wants us to be single-minded. It simply means believe him. Believe him. Now he's encouraging them, and then he goes on, and with the same thought, he ends it in verse 12. Because I want to end. Blessed is the man that endureth. Count it all joy when you fall into divers temptation. Blessed is the man that endureth temptation. Count it all joy when you fall into divers temptation. Blessed is the man that endureth temptation. For when he is tried, by fixed necessity, by divine appointment, means by fixed necessity, by divine appointment, he shall receive the crown of life. It says, even if you have to die for the cause, you're going to get the crown of life, which the Lord has promised to him that love him. Say, to the point of death, love him. Don't stop loving him. Say, I'm a soldier in the army of the Lord. If I live, let me live in the army of the Lord. And if I die, let me die